In Nigeria, the task of cultivating a land is often hard and laborious. But this group of women sing despite the hardship that comes with tilling the ground, because doing so means food on the table, clothes and education for their little ones, and certainly hope for the future. You see, farming is the major source of income for these women who live in different rural areas in Plateau State, Nigeria. Tina Ibrahim, for instance, relies on small-scale farming to cater for the needs of her 5 children. She grows grains, spices and vegetables on this little patch of land, which her family feeds on and sells for income.
Tafiya da rayuwarmu da yaran ma yana ba mu wahala yadda za mu ciyar da su. School fees da sauransu. Tashi a waye gari babu kobo a hannu, ba abun da zan kama in sayar. Sometimes nakan zauna ma yi kuka. Hawan jini ma zai iya kama ni domin ba abun da zan kama ba yara su ce. In an zo balle ma kana tunanin rashin lafiya ya zo fa yaya zan yi, amma to haka ne muna dukuma mu zauna da shi.
Tina and her friends are only a few of the thousands of women in rural settlements all across Nigeria who not only produce over 60% of the food consumed in the country, but whose livelihoods depend on small-scale farming. In recent years, however, their means of livelihood is being threatened by drastic climate change. Research has shown that the average temperature of the Earth is rising at nearly twice the rate it was 50 years ago. This rapid warming trend is to a large extent caused by effect of greenhouse gases emitted by humans.
If you generally look at what is going on in the world today, you see that there is extreme heat and extreme rainfall. Sometimes each of them is overstretched such that you have drought and you have excessive flood. This impacts very negatively on human life, on livestock. This is as a result of the activities of both human beings and nature itself. And because of that, the greenhouse system that's supposed to be holding heat and reduce the impact it has on the ground, on the soil, is destroyed and could no longer hold the heat. So the impact is on human life, animals, and crops.
Farmers across Africa already feel these impacts in forms of prolonged droughts, erratic and unreliable rainfall, floods, landslides, increase in soil erosion and crop failures, more uncertainty about what and when to plant, shortage of food, food insecurity, and so on. Smallholder farmers are even more affected as they currently face increasing challenges like extreme poverty, hunger, and deprivation due to loss of livelihoods and income.
It's affecting me economically. The money I will use to do something for my children as they go to school, I will now reinvest them into my farm. I feel very, very bad, and that is why we don't have much. I even went into borrowing, go to cooperatives, and we loan money so that we can start afresh. You see how pitiful that condition is.
Largely done by smallholder women farmers, agriculture is very vital to the Nigerian economy as it employs over 14 million people and contributes about 20.85% to the nation's GDP. The detrimental impact climate change has on agriculture is becoming a threat to the food and security in Nigeria. A threat that must be tackled immediately.
Food security entails that as population is increasing, we have to increase production to be able to meet the demand of the increasing population. But definitely with climate change, instead of having increase in output, we are having decrease in output. So it's a very major challenge.
And so, with a long history of building and empowering the poor and marginalized, their families and the larger community, the Australian High Commission stepped in to change the narrative. Through its direct aid programming, they set out to empower smallholder women farmers through their national association, Swofon.
The Small Scale Women Farmers Organization in Nigeria, Swofon, is a national grassroots organization, registered CAC organization, that was established by Action Aid in 2012. As at the last count, there were over 44,000 cooperatives registered as cooperatives and an association. So we provide that national platform for smallholder women farmers across Nigeria to be able to stand in one voice concerning the issues and challenges that are facing them.
80% of grassroots farmers are in villages, rural communities. And we are trying to protect, advocate for the rights of women, particularly the women farmers.
Knowing what we are passing through and knowing the challenges we face in the rural communities, we feel it is very, very important we create awareness, build the capacity of smallholder women farmers for them to be able to tackle the challenges they are facing.
And to build the capacity of these smallholder women farmers all across Nigeria, the Australian aid chose to train them with best climate resilient farming practices to combat climate change threats like soil erosion, desert encroachment, flooding, and much more.
Training is actually covering 3 broad activities. One is on regreening practices for organic farming in order to improve soil fertility, be that in Lagos, Kaduna, and Delta states as one of the practices. The second phase of the training is actually looking at extension services to help empower smallholder women farmers as a capacity building by governments, ADPs, agri departments, doing that in Plateau, Abia, and Cross River. And the third one actually takes us to the north, which is capacity building training on desertification and encroachment, because we find out that towards the Sahel region, there's a lot of desert encroachment on the farmland.
The regreening processes is such that you try to introduce plants that are symbiotic with the cropping patterns of that farmer. For example, is it legumes? If you want to try the legumes, they will now improve the quality of that soil, and they will improve the nutrition of that soil, because soil is all about nutrition, and it is that nutrition that will help your crops. So the moment you try and bring in the green agriculture, and that green agriculture will now open the mind that everybody will now key in. So at the end of the day, you will have a bumper harvest, and the take home will be much, much higher.
This training also will help us to know which crop needs organic and when we need to apply this organic, and how to do even the organic fertilizer, which is compost, how to compost the fertilizer itself.
While the sea incursion is reducing the arable land in the coastal plains, desert encroachment with its associated sand dunes is depriving farmers in northern Nigeria of their agricultural farmlands and grazing rangelands. The frequent droughts and lesser rains are shortening growing seasons, thereby causing crop failure and food shortage.
There is a village around this northern Borno that desert encroachment have already encroached about half of the village. Yes, half of the village. They have to vacate that place. So if you are farming and you vacate that place, what will happen to you?
That is the truth. That is desertification. And we have cases of flooding. When you rise, everything will just wash away. What do? We have this sandstorm here that when you plant at the tender age, if you don't nurture well, you end up losing more than half of what you plant.
And even the duration also is decreasing. So there are a lot of challenges being faced by the farmers. And with the insurgency now, a lot of people, well, the town is almost overpopulated. So we now sensitize them on what it is all about, the causes of the desertification, and then the precautions that they can take to, although they cannot stop it completely, but how can they now, since it's already with us, so how can they now cope with it? So we've taught them some farming skills that they can now use in their farming to really mitigate or reduce the effects of desertification.
Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, is believed to be one of the most beautiful cities in Nigeria. Its clean streets, breathtaking landscapes, and abundant crops have attracted so many people both within and outside the borders of Nigeria. Sadly, small-scale women farmers in these areas are the most affected by this climate change and its negative effects.
Flooding, especially. You get your money or you even borrow money. You put into your farm. Just at the verge of harvesting, flood will wipe off the crops without you getting anything. It's a very big challenge and problems. Climate change is one of the very serious, terror to farmers this side of the country.
The woman in the rural community lack information. She doesn't know the focus of when the rain is coming, when is it likely to stop, which type of crops she should plant for her to be able to harvest in time. So we end up losing our crop in the farm. The only people that can bring such information to us is the extension agent. And sincerely speaking, we don't see them again. For over 20 to 25 years now, we never see extension staff again.
This part of the training has to do with extension work because it is only extension work that work with the rural women. So they are there, they know the problem of the rural women, and as they prefer their own problem, the extension staff will now there on the field provide an interim intervention of their own problem.
Just as we have learned today from this training that in fact we are going to hold the ADPs responsible because truly they are the ones that are training extension workers, even women extension workers. So the whole thing is that we need to work together to see how we will solve this problem.
If we don't address these climate change issues, then the problem of food insecurity will continue. Because we believe in Nigeria, 75% of agricultural activities are carried out by small-scale women farmers. So when we address them, when we reach them, and they utilize the information in their various farms, I think that to an extent, we will arrest food insecurity.
With Nigeria's agricultural sector contributing about 20.85% to the nation's GDP and employing over 14 million people, the Australian High Commission is confident that the impact it has made on these small-scale women farmers will trigger local, national, and even global development, leading to food security for Nigerians and all mankind.
It's going to help us a lot, because from the practicals also, a lot women are excited. I'm even saying already that they are not going to lose their money again from farming because of climate effect on their farming activity.
We are going to do step-down training to farmers to make sure that all of them benefit from the advantage of this resilience training, so that we could be sustainable and we'll be able to produce more products, be able to feed our community and earn more money.
Each person that was here is representing almost 100 cooperatives. It is the cooperative heads of each local government that is here. So in all the 17 local governments, we have representatives that came for this training. So when they go back, they will be able to step down this training.
It's very achievable, and hopefully we'll be able to meet the reducing hunger by the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. So I want to believe that while we are having our small impact in these 8 states, it's going to be a ripple effect to achieving food security in Nigeria and producing more food for the nation.
And so, after many years of battling environmental hazards that has resulted in crop failure and food shortage, smallholder women farmers like Tina can now hope for increase in their harvest and a better future for their families and the nation at large.
Because of this training, the change we expect that our crop will go better, our economy will go higher, the situation in our area will be enjoyable. So we will be able to stay in the farm to do our work better than during the
flooding period.
Climate change doesn't necessarily have to hurt us. It doesn't have to. We can do things to prevent it from hurting us. You know, we can actually take advantage of the change in weather and use it for ourselves. So I say thank you, Australian Aid. Thank you for the knowledge, thank you for the support, thank you for the information. We are going to make them proud.
Me, I thank God well for Heribo. I fit not pronounce the name well. I still thank God for Australian Aid. I still thank God well for this Swofon when I belong to.
I am seeing the future great because I am going to do more than before. Because of the climate change, we just sit down and say, I'm tired. Even as I'm planting, it is not growing. But we are encouraged to plant so that we will have good harvest.
Looking at the future, it's a big positive effect on the economy generally, especially once women are involved. You know, women, we take things like a bomb, so like a grenade, let me use that word. So it's going to be a massive effect on the community, and you see the general effect will now extend to the overall nation.